never been a part of something where we've had so many people rooting for us to succeed and coming in and asking, how can they support us, thanking us for being here. And I'm thinking, thank you for being a customer.
Whether it's the great beer we have, the beautiful waterfront, or just the location in the bay, people are actually paying attention to Vallejo.
I feel like we're a pillar in the community, and I feel like, what we're doing through beer and history and good food.
There's a real goodwill to the rejuvenation of Vallejo and the resurrection of the Mare Island concept and the Mare Island brand that used to be a huge source of pride. I mean, Mare Island helped win the war, and it was gone for a number of years. And I like to think in a different way, we're bringing it back. We really want to do right by the history of Mare Island. It is our touchstone for all the branding that we do. And I think the local community really appreciates that it's not Kent and Ryan's excellent brewing adventure that we're putting together here. It is excellent beer, no doubt about it. But we're trying very, very hard to uphold the incredible heritage and history of Mare Island.
We put some of that history on every can, so every one of our beers is named after some historical event. On the side is a nice little 665 character blurb to get you just enough attracted to the story to then find out a little bit more about why Mare Island was so important to the Bay Area and to American history. We're kind of like a history company, and we just end up making beer to tell all this great history. I was an assistant winemaker at a winery called White Rock, and that's where you make your Road 31 Pinot Noir.
I never made better wine than I did when Ryan was on the job when he was there, so we became fast friends. Thought about moving the winery down here, but if you look around, there's these old historic cranes everywhere, and I kept thinking, my wine folks are not gonna wanna look at those cranes, but my brewing buddies, they're gonna be like, check out those cranes. And Ryan had gone to work for Lagunitas.
Small brewery, a little small brewery called Lagunitas, yeah. And that kind of helps understand that maybe beer's where we should go.
Yeah, so we got back together. I'd written a business plan, Ryan had the brewing expertise, and we started up the brewing company based on that. We've taken the parts of the wine world that we think apply, but we've had to learn kind of a new approach in some of it. And the wine world's fantastic and super fun on one level, and man, it's sure fun to have a pint on the other level.
Yeah, the wine world can be and feel a little exclusive. A lot of the retail can make it feel a little stuffy. On beer, everybody can have a fun time on an $8 pint. You really find more opportunities to have people enjoy your product with beer.
And I think it really speaks to a sense of community that you can create with a brewery that you can't quite do as much with a winery. We want people to have the whole experience. We want them to have the beer, we want them to have the history, and we want them to have the community gathering watering hole that we try to provide. And it's that combination that I think makes us special.
When we started the Vallejo ferry terminal over there, it was a no-brainer. Literally, the ferry drops off everybody coming from San Francisco right at our doorstep. And so opening that place in 2014 really got the ball rolling on what we have here. And then with 2017 opening the brewery over in the coal shed location where we are now, we were only really doing private events up until COVID. And COVID kind of changed the game for, well, everybody, but for us at least. We added our food truck on this side and opened up to general service, which we continue on to this day. And then in 2021, we opened the Benicia Tap House location. As far as what they offer, they're all a little different. We all have the same beer and the same atmosphere. We're telling the same great history of Vallejo. But at the end of the day, it's really chef's food that differentiates between each location.
The pie wagon that we call it is our food truck that's on Mare Island at the Coal Shed Brewery. We do nachos, we do tacos. Try to focus a little bit more, some more seafood items, because we're right on the water. At the tap room, it gets really busy being right in the ferry building. And so the menu is designed to be, filling, but also like fast-paced and typical, elevated pub fare. We're here in Benicia. It's kind of a completely different than either of the other two restaurants. So smaller plates is kind of our thing here in Benicia. We're using truffle oils and Grana Padano cheeses and imported things like that. Just trying to give a little bit more of an upscale feel to this location as opposed to the other two. We didn't want to have the same experience, the same thing at each location. We wanted something completely different. I'm born and raised in Vallejo. A lot of my family is from Vallejo. They came there for the shipyard. I'm actually the 5th generation in my family to work on Mare Island. So yeah, I have a huge amount of history here in Vallejo.
Kind of nice to live close to the community and in the community that we're serving and making great beer for.
We live here, we work here, we eat here, our kids are here.
My kids were born for here.
Right.
I think like over 80% of our employees live here in Vallejo, which is extremely gratifying as well. You know, being able to create jobs in our own hometown.
There's no way we could do any of this without our employees.
At the end of the day, we're just two guys on the waterfront making some great beer in Vallejo, and that's great. But it's really the employees around us that helped us come along the way that you can't do without them.
It's really, really gratifying to be the local watering hole and to have people come here and be so proud of the island and what we're doing in Vallejo. And we certainly couldn't do this without the local community, and they have rallied behind us in a way that I had hoped for, but I couldn't imagine it could have been this good.
Yeah, you can't write it in a business plan how much the community has been so supportive of what we're working with.
I feel like Mare Island Brewing Company as a whole is very community based, and I feel like people gravitate towards us because they know that they can come in and it's a positive environment. It's a happy place for people to be. And I think we're doing like our community service